You being you is so freeing for everybody else. But that's the fear we live in, is that somebody is going to not like who I am.
You are going to know me. You're going to know my strong points, but that also means you're going to know my weak points, and allowing people to be there for you at your lowest and your darkest.
I'm just there to say, it's going to be okay. You're going to make it.
And what's deep inside you in your core that's been planted there is what's going to come to the surface. So what are you planting?
That is the longing we have inside of us. Tell me who God says I am.
Welcome to You're Okay, a podcast brought to you by the Women of Jesus Culture. Hey everyone, welcome to the first official episode of You're Okay, a podcast brought to you by the Women of Jesus Culture. I am Becky Johnson, and I am here with your host,
CJ Leapshire.
You're the host. This is your podcast. If this all goes down, it's CJ's fault.
No, it's Becky's fault. Or if you really want to blame somebody, we'll blame Banning.
Yes, perfect.
If anything, if you have any complaints, let Banning know about it. It's his fault. He'll
email
take care
him
of
directly.
it.
We'll
Email
post his
address.
email.
Yes.
And we also have
Erika Myberg, the sidekick.
The sidekick. That's good. That's awesome. And we have special guests with us today. She will be a recurring guest, a frequent flyer. Yes. Sherry Silk.
Hello.
And we will talk more about you in just a moment. Okay. This is it. This is our first official episode. We have a name. It's You're Okay. And I want to talk about what different ways people can take that You're Okay, because we have some funny stories on, we did a women's gathering with You're Okay. And some people, we wanted to call it You're Okay, like, you're okay, you're going to be okay, you've got this.
You can do it.
And a lot of people were perceiving it as you're average, like you're okay.
Just okay.
Yeah.
You're just okay.
Yeah, you're all right.
So in this podcast, it means you're okay. We believe in you. We say on, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about the JCLP on this podcast. Are we like rivals?
Well, we just think everybody should not listen to that one and only listen to us.
On that, yeah, we're family. It's our annoying cousin.
But we win.
We win. So in that podcast, we say that we're cheerleaders for people in leadership and believers going after things. And that's kind of, we're women cheerleaders here cheering other women on.
Well, I think women are hard on themselves.
Yes.
We are our biggest critics. Mm-hmm. And I think half the time we walk through something rough, we think, I'm never going to make it. And I love when somebody looks at me and says, you're going to be okay.
Yes.
Or you're okay exactly where you are. You don't have to change. You're going to make it. We're going to be fine.
But I don't like when somebody just says, you're okay.
Like, I kind of like you.
So this is the first official podcast. We did like a teaser on the JCLP last month, kind of letting people know. And people loved it, I would say, by the millions. People were listening and loving it.
By the millions?
By the millions.
Wow.
We make up numbers on the at Jesus Culture. We
Millions.
Just make up. So
I never knew.
Yeah, we talked about dogs.
We did. People didn't seem to love to hear all about my dogs.
So our producer, Natalie, said, I said, how did you take that? Like, what did you think about all the dog talk? She's like, well, I hate dogs. So I think I just kind of like,
turned it off.
She's like, so I don't really remember. So I didn't think about all the dog haters.
All I can say is if you met my dogs, you would be fine with it. Okay?
So CJ, how you feeling? This is it.
I'm excited. Yeah. I feel, honored to get to do this. And I hope you guys join in and it's more of a fun time for you and uplifting and encouraging. And we can laugh together. We can cry together. We can not be okay together. And then in the end, be okay.
Yes. It's going to be awesome. We're really excited to really just chat with women from all different kinds of walks of life and different situations in life. And that's been one of the amazing things. Kind of, CJ, the idea for this podcast is birthed out of the women's gatherings.
Yes.
Right? So what did you see happening there that you wanted to translate to a more, like a broader audience?
I was just amazed at how much women wanted to be heard and wanted to hear that they're important, that they're valued, but that they're going to make it in every day. I mean, and it didn't matter what they were facing, work, singleness, divorce, addiction, loss, whatever it was, to know I'm going to make it to the end. And there are other people that are also walking through hard things, but have hope and have victory and can laugh and can still joke in the midst of life. And just to bring that real, where's Jesus in the middle of our disasters, or where's Jesus in the middle of our good times, and talk about it.
It's going to be good. So that's what we're doing here. We're just talking. We went through a lot of different names. Should we share some of the names that didn't make it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Really funny. Natalie's going to love this. She's dying right now. I like when on podcasts that I listen to when they talk about the producer in the background who's just like cringing.
Well, it makes us sound super like
Official.
important
She's
and
in
official.
a director's chair. She has an earpiece on. No,
She's
not really.
pointing to us and stuff.
Yeah, she's giving us cues. So chocolate and coffee, that was one of them.
Well, we like
Didn't go
both
through.
those things.
Yeah. Let's see, 3125. What was that?
I think it's a verse.
Oh, right. I
something.
thought it was ages. This
We
is
said
only
no to that
if
one.
you're 31 and only if you're 25. Say what? And it was unfiltered. Oh, this one's funny. Yeah, no.
That was one? I didn't see that one.
That's really funny. One of the contenders was Just Say It. We were going to call it Just Say It, but then that's kind of all over podcast world. So pretty in purpose. Oh, that's kind of cute. Courage to be you, strong like a girl. So if you guys are going to start a women's podcast, you can take some of these names.
Yeah, we'll share.
Ooh, this one's a good one. Not your mama's podcast. But we landed on You're Okay because you are. And that's what we want to tell you. Every month we're going to get with you and just tell you, hey, you're awesome. You're all right. You're going to make it.
Yep.
So CJ, you recently, 2 weeks ago, you spoke at
Yes.
church, our local church, JC Sacramento. And we've shared a little bit. It kind of depends on if you're a longtime listener to the podcast or not. But CJ does not hesitate to say how much she hates it. You hate being up there. You hate speaking.
Yes.
Just not super comfortable for
I
you.
tried not to say I hate it because
Yeah.
Banning tells me,
Don't
do
say
not tell everybody how much you hate it and how
Right.
nervous you are.
Right.
So I don't think I said it once.
Good job.
Or maybe I did.
No,
You
I
say
listened
it's
to it.
not
It was
my favorite. If you
Yeah.
know me, you know it's not my favorite.
Yeah.
So I want to know, one, how did he get you up there? Like how did that go? And
I
then,
get myself into these things. I'm like, hey, I think I need to share at church. He's like, oh, awesome. Let's get a date down. And then I was mostly good about it until the week before. And then panic started. Every night I'd go to bed and I had just knots in my stomach.
Oh.
The night before or the day. And I had it written out, the basic idea. But you wrestle between, I wrestle. I shouldn't say you. I wrestle between feeling like I need to bring some great biblical like revelation that I somehow got, which I don't have. And then I finally realized I can only talk about what I know and what I've experienced. So then I finally settled, had some peace because, I can talk about me. Mm-hmm. That's okay. I can talk about what I've experienced and known in life. But Banning and I almost went to blows on Saturday night, the night before, because he tried to help me.
Oh.
I don't.
I've had that happen before. Yeah, with
Yeah.
Danny. One time I was speaking just one session at a conference, and I was just sick, thinking ahead about
Yes,
it.
it's awful.
So the morning I had the afternoon session, in the morning that I was speaking, Danny decided to make slides for me because Danny still preaches with videos and slides.
Yes,
It's his like silk trademark. So he really thought I should get in on that. So I had to coordinate my whole sermon around a slideshow that I've never used before.
Oh, my
And
gosh.
it caused so much anxiety.
Yes.
I made it through, and I always use slides pretty much now all
Yeah.
the time, but that was a tough one. And what I've enjoyed, CJ, is watching you on this journey to becoming yourself.
Yeah.
You know, when you decided, Banning's he's a leader of a movement, and he's always had this big plan of how to conquer the world, and you're more and more it's feeling like a partnership between the two of you because you've given yourself permission to be yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's what everyone loves. That's why people are gathered. When you pull the women together there, they see that in you, that you being yourself gives them permission to be themselves. They don't have to be someone else.
Yeah.
And it's a great,
That's
been wonderful
totally
to watch.
my passion. I remember I've been just thinking back to that journey of when Banning was like, with all the Bethel people, like, oh my gosh, where are you traveling to? How are we going to take over the world? I mean, it was honestly, that's what it felt like living with him was his plan to take over the world constantly. And me finally realizing, I don't want to take over the world with you. I'm really happy to stay home. But that actually took so much guts. It would have been easier to just do what everybody else was doing, which they loved, to go travel with their husband. But I was like, I don't want to. And now, after walking through that, I feel like I learned about myself. I figured out, what do I like out there? What message is inside of me, not just what's a good message.
That's real good. And you spoke on, it was a series, In Christ. And so we were, talking through different things, named in Christ, complete in Christ. And yours was authentic in Christ. And if you guys know CJ, and you will get to know her more and more, that is one thing, just like a banner that she carries, is authenticity. And so it was so good. And if you guys want to hear that, you can head over to our other podcast, Jesus Culture Sacramento Church Podcast, where we post the sermon every week. And CJ's is Authentic in Christ. You'll see it there with her name. Give it a listen and let us know what you think. There are some really, really funny stories in there. So you guys will really enjoy that. So we're getting ready to dive into this month's topic right after this.
Visit the Jesus Culture online store for our latest music, apparel, and books. This is more than a store for us. We create these products to share a piece of Jesus Culture's message with people all over the world. We're giving our JCLP listeners 10% off your purchase with the discount code JCLP. Go to store.jesusculture.com to check it out.
Okay, guys, this month we have Sherry Silk with us, and we are going to listen to her sermon called Love Wins. It's one of my favorite. Well, also, she got stuck preaching this sermon at our church right after just our country was just torn apart. There had been shootings and horrible, horrible stuff was happening. And then it was Sherry Sunday. I was like, I'm so sorry, and yet I'm so thankful that I am not up on this Sunday.
I think Banning had been out of town.
Yes.
And so it was like an Orlando shooting, Dallas shooting. It was
it was awful. It was awful.
Blue Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
Just a lot of turmoil in our country for sure.
But I will say, I felt the very best that you were the one that was up there to stand in front of our church. When I looked, I was like, just knowing what you carry. Anybody that knows, Danny and Sherry moved here with Banning and I and our whole team, and they've been huge in our life. I mean, Sherry has had monumental moments with me that have just turned me around in my growing up and becoming the woman I am. And so it's always humbling for us when we sometimes you forget they're just part of our team, and then we remember, like, oh my gosh, Danny and Sherry are with us. Like, what are we doing?
They're a big deal.
Yeah, how did we end up with them just on our team? Why aren't they in charge?
Sherry's been on the podcast quite a few times. She was on the one-on-one with Banning, and then we did a relationship Q&A, and we kind of opened up a can of worms. We said, hey, anybody have relationship questions? Yeah. Wow, just in droves, just crazy questions. Questions that were inappropriate for the podcast. Like, okay, we can't ask that on the air. But I think it does go to show that people need help in this in this area. They need help with their relationships. And Danny and Sherry were amazing. They're we called you the relationship gurus. You guys are killing it.
I call Danny Dr. Love.
Dr. Love. There you go.
Doctors in that.
But it really is amazing. And as they've been on staff with us now, and I think one of the most amazing things, and I've told Sherry this before, personally, that she is just one of the most empowering people ever. And she knows how to create healthy relationships from really messy situations. It's amazing, her ability to walk into an environment where tensions are high, feelings are hurt, and then it's like, okay, let's untangle. Let's just untangle all the emotions, all the assumptions, help everybody see clearly, and really just love well and help us get there. I think our staff culture is way healthier because of her. So
thanks, guys.
Yeah. So we wanted to bring her in on the podcast right away.
Yep. One of our first ones. She'll be back because we all still need Sherry's help.
Yeah. So Sherry, we're going to play your sermon in a little bit, but what was it like taking the stage after, obviously, when you knew you were speaking, none of that had happened?
Yeah, I was wondering, what am I going to do? What am I going to talk about?
Do you ditch your sermon plan?
Yeah, do I fake that I'm sick that Sunday. How do I get out of this? But I also knew that there must be a reason for it. So I just forged in and tried to do the best I could. But I think the whole thing that was going on in our country it was just fear. There's just so much fear going on, and people are not themselves when they're afraid. You're going to get a completely different me if I'm scared of something. And so I knew that I just talked about love mainly was what I went after, and I know that it fixes things. If I can, shamelessly plug a book I've heard of called Keep Your Love On. It really is throwing that switch and making a decision, and it's a conscious decision that I'm going to look past how I'm feeling. I'm going to look past what I see even, or my perception of what I see, and I'm going to choose to love you. I'm going to choose to understand you and move toward you. That's the thing that you're talking about in relationships is when we're afraid or we're scared, we're not ourselves, we don't want to move toward someone. But that's usually exactly what it takes, whether it's a marriage relationship or a friend or a colleague or a child. A lot of times these little ones that we take care of that are so sweet and lovely, they grow up and they become teenagers and then they're adults, and there will be conflict. So moving toward them it's a skill.
Yes. How have you guys seen that play out? You guys have teenagers.
Oh,
CJ,
my girls are angels. We've never had conflict. I don't know what you're talking about.
But
I'm just kidding. You guys can't see my face.
Right. Before I had kids, you'd think, oh my gosh, this, or even when, Lucy's only 3. Now it's starting to come up where I'm like, okay, I'm going to love you through this tantrum. But, when you have babies, it's like, I will never not love you. You will always be my sweet
we're always going to cuddle
we're always
eat cheese that doesn't melt.
But what's that decision look like, with your own children? Or like, okay, I'm going to move towards you in this.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've definitely had to face that in the last few years, having 2 teenagers in the house, even with my little
2 teenage girls.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they know a lot.
Everything.
Banny and I have raised confident children, and confident children think they know a whole lot that they don't know. And trying to walk away and not give it to them when you're like, oh my gosh, you are wrong. You are wrong, and I'm going to show you all your wrongness. That's been and trying to stay connected. Go back into the room and you've been disconnected. And this is what matters to me. You matter to me.
Sherry, you and Danny say something, I don't know if it came from you guys, but the choosing relationship over being right. I don't know if I've gotten that one because I still really like to be right in my marriage. And I constantly be like, okay, relationship first. Oh, and every relationship, I'm like, relationship over being right. Relationship over being right. But it's really hard.
It's hard.
And right according to who?
Yeah, exactly.
So
I am right. No, you're not.
It's a perception and perspective. And if I say, oh, I'm sorry, I was wrong, Danny will say, oh, can I wait? I want to record that. Can you say that again? Because I love to be right as well. But it is, I remember talking to or a mom of a teenager one time, and she was just telling me about her son's behavior. And I think he was about 16, and he was sneaking out of the house, and he, I'm making all these things up, but he got a mohawk, and he got, his ears pierced, his nose pierced. He was doing all these crazy behaviors. He was starting to do some drugs, and she was just freaking out, as every parent would. And sort of every suggestion I gave her around behavior, she had tried or didn't want to try or didn't think it would work. And it was almost like the words came out of my mouth and they fell to the floor and she stomped on them, no, that's not going to work.
Gosh.
She was desperate. And that's that look that you guys have been talking about is, here I am in front of for that I love. I would throw myself in front of a moving vehicle that's how much I love you, and you don't seem to care about me, and that desperate look in this mom's eye. And I finally just said, well, how's your connection with your son? And she burst into tears.
Oh.
because she didn't feel connected. And I said, well, that's your biggest problem. And that's what we have to remind ourselves is all the behavior, all the things going on around the situation are secondary to I need to be connected, because if I'm connected to you, you'll protect my heart and I'll protect your heart. So let's figure out how to get connected. And of course, there are a, plethora of reasons why it's harder sometimes than others. And there could be lots of history and all sorts of things you have to push through. But that moving towards somebody, it's almost like you would never go pick up a porcupine. I know you're a porcupine. I know you're going to hurt me. This is going to be painful.
Yeah.
But it's that, okay, you look bristly and you look upset, but I'm going to move towards you because underneath that is this person. And I said, don't worry about your son's mohawk or his piercings or his tattoo or his sneaking out. Somewhere inside there is your son and your son's heart that you love, and just go find it, go connect with that heart, and it will change around.
Oh, that's so good. Sherry's the best.
I know. I know.
I'm like, oh, there's some people's hearts in my life I need to go find.
Like, that's good. All right.
Well, I have adult children now, and we have problems too. Like Danny's loving your adult children on purpose is going to be another book.
Yeah, there needs to be like loving your
it's different.
toddlers, your teenagers.
Yeah, and it's letting the disagreements fall to the floor, not just behaviors now. Maybe they're not acting out anymore, but they have opinions, and they're different. And in your head, you're thinking, I did not raise you to think like that. That's not how I would have trained you or taught you.
Where did that come from?
I really like the me in you. Where'd the me in you go? Now I have this other completely different person standing there, and just trying to find spots to connect with them as well, and I'm not worried about their behavior anymore. I'm worried about, what they're thinking, but I still have to push through. And
so how do you push through when there is girl hormones where they aren't making any sense whatsoever? Right now I'm like, I want to connect to you. She actually said to me,
your daughter?
Yes.
Your hormonal
my
daughter.
hormonal girl. I'll try not to point out which one. She said, I have all these thoughts going on inside of me and I don't know what to do with them. I just feel crazy. And I'm like,
run.
Can you just try to be nice? And she's like, no, I feel irritated at everyone. I was like,
gosh.
Okay.
I remember having a teenage daughter. And you were the youth pastor of that youth group, you and Banning. And I remember thinking, I need outside help. I need my daughter to be able to go talk to somebody besides me. And having those people, like I don't know if you remember, but at Brittany's wedding, my daughter got married at 18, very young, but to an awesome guy.
Yes.
And
it's working out.
At their wedding, part of their ceremony was Danny and I had all the youth pastors stand up at their wedding and introduce them, because we would not have made it to the finish line of this, romance or whatever, hormones and all that going on.
Oh my gosh.
Without this community of people that I could say, hey, go talk to CJ, because I may just rip your hair out. Inside my head, I'm ripping your hair out
Becky,
right now.
she's coming at you.
Oh my goodness.
And it really does. It really does help to build a community that you can, other women, and I would trust you. I knew you were for me. That's the thing. I knew that you had our best interest, and that if I pushed my daughter toward you because we were done, we've exhausted our ability to communicate. If I pushed her toward you, you would give her really great advice.
Yeah, I remember meeting with her. And of course, she was always level-headed talking to me. I never experienced that crazy.
Should I tell some stories?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, one time I did drop Raya, one of my daughters, off at Becky's house as she was completely losing her mind. Do you remember that?
I do, yeah.
We came back from a trip and she was losing her mind. And we just drove to Becky's house and left her there.
Yeah, they did.
Hopefully Becky was home, right?
I was
Becky
home.
was home.
Yeah, she said, because she's kind of a lot like me. And she said something like, there's like this tornado inside of you and it just makes you hate everybody, but you know you're not supposed to hate them and you really do love them, but you want to just act like you hate them. I'm like, yeah, totally.
I don't understand that at all.
I don't trust me right now. I'm going to put myself in timeout.
Yeah. Oh gosh, a personal timeout. Sherry, your message is called Love Wins, or that's what we called it. Do you feel like, that there isn't a problem that love couldn't answer?
I think we're only responsible for our side of the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So, just, I can only do what I can do on this side. There are obviously some situations that people are in and hard, family relationships or boss or kids or whatever it is, and you can only manage your side of the relationship. But ultimately, you won't get to the end of life and say, "Boy, I wish I would have been treated that person
more hateful,
or wish I would have kept my love off, or had not been trying to reconnect with that person." Mm-hmm. So, ultimately, that's what gets us, what wins us over to God is He doesn't ever turn His love off, good. And He is my example of the ultimate father and friend. So I look at Him like I have no excuse for changing my behavior. It doesn't mean you don't set boundaries with people. A lot of people will listen to a message and think, oh, then I have to let dysfunctional people in my life. Well, that's not necessarily true, because, I have a inner circle of people that have access to my heart, and then there's people that even I'm related to that do not have access all the way in because they can't handle being in a healthy relationship with me. I can still love you. Yeah. I can love you from a distance. I can love you from over here. I can pray for you. I can respond to you or not respond if that boundary needs to be set. So
I think that's something that, having all of you ladies, I'm so thankful to have in my life. But when I was younger, it was really hard for me to differentiate, like, well, if I love you, saying yes to loving you now means you get to walk all over me and you get to just wreak havoc in my life. I've had some dysfunctional, unhealthy relationships. And I thought, if I'm loving them, that means like there's no boundary, or I cut them off completely. And I think it's so important. I don't think that people understand. You don't have to do that. Like you guys have lots of people in your life who you're loving, but it doesn't mean they get to blah all over everything.
There's no limit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. How did you describe it, Erica? When I first met Erica, she helped me a lot with this. And what did you say? I can't remember the words that you used to say about allowing people, access into, like, exactly what you're saying, but access into my heart. Like,
yeah, I think just what Sherry says, that love actually means healthy boundaries. And I have control over who comes, who has access to my heart and who does not. But it doesn't mean I get to be less of me. I'm still present and all of me. I don't have to be a lesser person. That doesn't equal lesser access. I am all me, but I get to control the access you have to me. But because that was hard, to figure out, do I give you a lesser version of me when you have lesser access, or do I be me, fully me? Yet this is a part where I can control in my life.
Especially for the women listening who are like CJ, very compassionate, very open, very empathetic towards people. You're just like, you want to love everybody and let them all in, but you have many people in your life where you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Oh, yeah. That's what, when I met Erica, I was really walking through the anxiety journey. And so I used to just let anybody in, just like, hey, here's my heart. And then people don't mean to, but you'd get hurt or, and then learning like, okay, not everybody, and then you learn like there are people that want to be in your life that aren't healthy, that how can I still love them and how can
take care of me?
Yeah, I still take care of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, boundaries are for protecting values.
Yeah.
So they're not just to keep things out, they're to keep things in as well. Really so it doesn't have to be I'm setting this boundary, this Fort Knox wall to keep you out. It's to keep things I love in, like peace,
yes,
really joy, and things that I value, that I'm able to, this is what I can manage in my life right now, this many people and this many problems, because the problems are they're endless. People's problems are endless, especially as a pastor's wife. It just goes on, and there's only so much of you. So for you to be able to be healthy in your own family and giving your love and attention to those that you're committed to, you have to be able to say no and yes.
Yeah.
Keeping boundaries for things in and out of your life.
Oh, that could be a whole nother podcast of just our journey with boundaries. We all have walked some just different processes with it. And I feel like, I almost think, man, if I could teach people anything, it would, that would be one of the big things. Like, just figure out your boundaries with people.
And it's
when
so
you're talking
hard.
to people who like have problems, I'm like, wow, you just need some boundaries in your life.
I'm 40, and there's still moments where I'm like, is this okay to say no to? Just where you have to wrestle through putting, I wrestle because I never want to be a selfish person.
Totally.
So sometimes a boundary feels selfish to me, and then recognizing, oh wait, that's not selfish. That's,
I think women in general, like you said, they're hard on ourselves. I think also, we're nurturers. And so
it's true. I mean, this is strange, but this is a women's podcast, right?
Yes. Men are
your
listening.
body is actually made for nurturing other people, your physical body.
true.
And so, I mean, you have curves, so you can put a baby on your hip. I mean, there's some of us have curves, some of us are bigger curves than others. But it's all sort of this outgo for giving away parts of yourself. So I think it is in our nature, which is beautiful. It's how God designed us, but it also isn't. It's not an endless supply.
Right.
It's okay to say no. And when we get in that codependent, weird relationship, really, codependency is I'm working harder on your problems than you are.
Oh, yeah. I think we all have that friend.
So it's like you have these relationships, and all of a sudden you're responsible for how that person's doing and feeling, do they have a job, and do they have a place to live, and are they eating? So it just goes on and on and on and on. You have to be able to say, this is what I can do. This is what I will do.
And it doesn't make you less nurturing. It doesn't make you mean. It doesn't make you less compassionate or less loving. And I think that's where women get hung up. Like,
oh, it's such a challenge.
I'm supposed to take care of them.
It's kind of like that.
Mom,
being on the airplane, they say, if we lose oxygen, we're going to put the mask on yourself first, so that you're awake and alive to actually help your child. So it's that whole, like, how much can I do?
Yeah.
And it could be, instead of just a no, it could be a postponement. Like, I don't have time this week, but I have time in 2 weeks.
That's really good.
Ooh, that's a hard one for a personality like mine.
I'm taking notes on that. Like,
I'm so all or nothing. So I feel like if I have to say no, I should probably say, I hate you and we can never speak again.
I have pneumonia. I'm in the hospital.
Well, but before we dive into the sermon, which is really good, it's called Love Wins, and Sherry just killed it. She nailed it. Say what? Still laughing. Bringing me a sound bite. One more thing that stood out to me on this message, Sherry, is you said anger is fake power. Ugh. And I thought, is that true all the time? Can I sometimes be angry and not trying to have fake power? Because sometimes I just feel angry because I'm angry.
Well, if your child's in the middle of the street and you need them to move, you can use it then. Like, get out of the street. Let's see. Rev it up. Anger for me was, this could be a whole other podcast for me probably, but it's something I learned as a child because I have sort of an A-type personality, more dominant, and I was raised with 6 brothers. And so some people might have just kicked into survival mode, and that's what it was for me. And anger really helped me set boundaries with them. That's that whole, like, I remember talking to my dad one time when my kids were preteens, and he would get angry with them and tell them what to do. And I would say, Dad, you actually don't have to be mad at them to give them instruction. But that's how I was raised, with him.
Right.
Was he would get mad at you, he'd bark and yell and carry on, and then you would run and do the thing, whatever it was that he wanted you to do. And I'm like, they're not me. They're different than me. But I grew up in this environment where anger helped me protect myself. And I would puff up like a blowfish so you don't get eaten kind of a thing, you know. And I brought that right into my relationship with Danny. And so then how do you connect and have a loving, healthy relationship when if you hurt me, I'm going to let you have it? And Danny was raised by more of a passive mom, personality type. And so she's not fighting with anybody. And so Danny wasn't a fighter. And I just... It was
like a good...
It made me feel powerful, like you had said. I don't know how to communicate my needs. In fact, I often don't even know what I need in the early years. And then you're hurting me, or I perceive some sort of threat, like you might hurt me, or take my power away, and I won't have a say in whatever we're talking about. So I would just use anger.
You could probably say like anger is probably always masking something. Like even, you know, my daughter being out in the street, I'm really afraid.
Right.
So
it's a secondary emotion. And we use it often like, you made me mad. You made me angry. But before that, something happened.
You hurt me.
You hurt me. You scared me.
Yeah.
Something. And then I became angry because I'm using it as a tool.
Oh. We're all silenced right now. Like, oh, no. I do that a lot.
I don't.
Well, we would challenge our listeners to maybe look at that in your own life and go, oh, where am I angry a lot? And what am I really?
Where do I feel powerless that I'm feeling this in this fake power? I'm using this instead of my words, instead of digging out and finding what I think or feel or need. I'm just coming out with this tool. It is one tool. And it works with your children too when they're younger, and then it doesn't work so well when they get older. Or they bring it back to you. It's like a harvest.
Oh, goodness. Well, there you guys go. We'll leave you with that thought, and then we will jump right into Sherry's message. Here you go.
Anger is fake power. It's fake power. It makes you feel important. It makes you feel like you know, maybe you could use it if you were trying to kill a snake, you know, or pick up a car off my child. You know, I need that rush of adrenaline, but I don't need to point it at people ever. I don't have permission to point this fake power at people. It's not the answer. And I feel like I know a lot about anger because I've dealt with it my whole life. It's always one of the options that comes up when I'm hurting. And anger really is a secondary emotion. It's second. Something happened first. Something happened first. And I'm either afraid or I'm hurt. And I have a choice right there. Do I choose fake power? Do I choose anger? Or do I choose love? Because that is the only answer. The only answer. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Martin Luther King Jr. And it feels like the worst of all of America is on display right now. But I don't want the worst to be what we talk about. I don't want the worst. I don't want the media to dictate to me you know, we had a peaceful rally in Dallas, and one deceived, demented individual did something horrible, and then we talk about him. When there's so many other things that are good going on in Dallas, other things that we need to be tending to. And so I don't want the media to dictate. You know, we have so many problems in America. I love America. I am a patriot. I put my flag up. I love her. And I know the answer for her is not that we curse her with our words. The answer is we all come together, no matter if we're white Americans or Asian Americans, Filipino Americans. Chris Quilala's Filipino American. Proud of his heritage. Doesn't matter. We come together and we bless her and we bless each other. You know, sometimes the end product looks really good, but it's hard to get there at times. I remember, we live close to IKEA now, but when we were living in Redding, I come down here many times, sometimes with a friend that's here with a trailer, empty trailer, to fill up at IKEA and drive back to Redding, California. And you walk through their showrooms, you walk through their beautiful showrooms, and I'm like, oh, that's a great couch, or that's a great table, or I like that cabinet. And then you pick up all this information, you go down to their warehouse, and you get boxes. You get boxes and boxes of little teeny parts that you have to go home and put together. I used to give them to my son Taylor because he likes order and structure, and he used to like to put things together, and his little thumb would hurt they give you all this stuff, and they give you one little Allen wrench, and your thumb's almost bleeding by the time you get through it. So you have this put together piece of furniture, and it looks really great, but it's a lot of work to put that together. And sometimes putting things together is the greater task than it actually implied. And that's where we're at. We're at this place where we have to come together, and we have to do the work, and we have to talk, and we have to communicate, and we have to figure it out so that we have the end product that we want. I just celebrated my 32nd wedding anniversary, and people are like, oh, the silk, see, let's celebrate, because it is a good thing. You can look at us and, how wonderful. Silk's been married 32 years. Well, 12 or 15 years of it was hell. I say 12, Danny says 15. I thought we started getting better around the 12th year. We had to do the work. Opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. We had to walk away, to find the person that would tell me to go, the person that would tell me, this is hopeless, you should get out of there. I could get permission from another person if I wanted to, or I could stay in there and I could work it, and I could choose Danny, and I could choose him and choose him and choose him. And he kept doing the same thing. He's choosing me over and over and over and over, until we end up with this finished project, but our thumbs are bloodied. And we have to do that. I want to be famous for love. That's what we want to be famous for. I want to be famous for love. The song that Jesus Culture kind of put them on the map was the song How He Loves. John Mark McMillan wrote that song. Kim sang it at a conference. It is forever recorded on YouTube. And I looked last night, it has 16,153,210 views. How many of you have seen that video? I've seen it 50 times. I'm 50 of the 16 million. I almost showed it to you today, but I thought, Kim, I didn't get permission. Her hair's, short. She might not like it. All of us that get recorded are on some kind of hair journey that you guys all get to see. But you watch that video and it just sucks you in. It's love that sucks you in close. That's what you're feeling. She's singing it. And John Mark McMillan wrote this song in the middle of a crisis in his life. He wrote about, love is a hurricane and I'm a tree. Well, if you've ever been a tree in a hurricane, that's pretty violent. But he lost a friend, and he was angry and hurting, and he moved toward God, and he penciled out this incredible song, and Kim sang it, and you just get sucked into this song, because that's what love's supposed to do. It's supposed to suck you in. That's why it's our only choice right now. It's our only choice. I'm going to read 1 Corinthians 13 out of the Message Bible. I didn't even know they put that up there. Thanks, Becky, team. If I speak with human eloquence and angelic ecstasy but don't love, I'm nothing but the creaking of a rusty gate. If I speak God's word with power, revealing all his mysteries and making everything plain as day, and if I have faith to say to a mountain, jump, and it jumps, but I don't love, I'm nothing. If If I give everything I own to the poor and even go to the stake to be burned as a martyr, but I don't love, I've gotten nowhere. So no matter what I say, what I believe, and what I do, I'm bankrupt without love. Love never gives up. Love cares more for others than for self. Love doesn't want what it doesn't have. Love doesn't strut, doesn't have a swelled head, doesn't force itself on others, isn't always me first, doesn't fly off the handle, doesn't keep score of the sins of others. It doesn't revel when others grovel, takes pleasure in the flowering of truth, puts up with anything, trusts God always looks for the best, never looks back, but keeps going to the end. Love never dies. It doesn't die. It's the only answer. It's our answer right now. And I'm fighting to get it. You have to sometimes, like a tree in a hurricane, stand there and get loved by God. We travel a lot. And we go to foreign countries a lot. And sometimes Brittany Scholl, who works for me, as soon as we land at Heathrow Airport, she's up there at the money exchange counter because she's going to exchange our American dollars for sometimes 5 different countries' currencies so that she takes good care of us so she can give us our money so that we can buy Starbucks in every country because there's one in every corner in every country as well. It's an exchange rate. And sometimes the exchange rate's really good. And sometimes it's not so good. But God's exchange rate is beauty for ashes. That's God's exchange rate. He gives us beauty for ashes. His exchange rate is always good. Fear casts out love, but love casts out fear. So we choose to love. That was the only thing I could think of to talk about today. What do you talk about after what we've been through as a country and where we're going as a country? Just a little bit of light pushes darkness out. You can walk into a pitch black room with a little teeny candle and darkness will start to leave. That's how it works. He is that powerful. Isaiah 61, 1-3, the Spirit of the Lord God is upon me because the Lord has anointed me to preach good tidings to the poor. He sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives and the opening of the prison to those who are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord and the day of the vengeance of our God, to comfort those who mourn, to console those who mourn in Zion, to give them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the spirit of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they may be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he may be glorified. It's my job to carry the hope, the love. Even if you forgot yours today, I got enough. I got enough for 2. I got enough for 3. That's how we live life sometimes. We walk in and people are discouraged. We're the carriers of the hope and the light and the love. We're the carriers. A little bit of love inserted changes people's lives forever. You believe that? And like CJ said, you stand in the midst of this crisis and I don't know what to do. I don't know. Yesterday, I was with my grandchildren, hadn't seen them in almost 3 weeks. And I'm like, Addie goes, what do you want to do? I said, what do you want to do, Addie? And of course, we made cookies because, of course, it made the right sense. I'm like, I can show love to her. That's what I can do. I'm going to be standing in front of someone right now, today, later today, and I get to choose how to love that person, not judge them. When we were in Orlando, and the gal that was the runner, she was driving the vehicle that picked us up at the hotel and drives back to the venue and back and forth. She drove me to the hotel in the morning because we check into a few hotels, just like 3 rooms, and we all take turns going there and taking a shower so that you can actually stand up and not have to wear shower shoes to take a shower. It's a really glorious bus life we live on. And And I was talking to her, and I said, how are you guys doing with all this stuff going on? How are you? And she said, it's been really rough. The security team at the venue was just tender and teary. And this gal says, well, my daughter is living in the lesbian lifestyle, and she frequents the Pulse, which was the nightclub that they murdered all those people. But she wasn't there that night. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That would be so scary. I don't even really know what to say. You know, it's just tragic. And we're praying for you guys. And she said, you know, my daughter and her friend were part of the team that see, what happened was the gay and lesbian community is in this nightclub, and the guy goes in there and shoots everybody. It's horrible. And the response is really good, mostly. But there are some people that came out in protest and said, oh, it's God's wrath. There's people that came out against that community, and like, you're already in severe pain. And then to come out and protest. Why? I don't want to be famous for protesting something. I want to be famous for loving people. So her and her daughter and her friend were part of this group that they built angels' wings. And they stood between the protesters and the people that were burying their dead. They're having a memorial service, and protesters would come with their signs and say it was God's wrath that this happened. God did this. We don't want to be known for that. I thought, what a beautiful thing. What a beautiful thing. We get to insert love. We're going to be standing in front of somebody. We're going to have these situations, you know. One situation that happened in my life, which you maybe you've heard the story or read it in Danny's books, but our daughter was 16 years old, and I don't know if she tipped over too far to the right or left, but her brain fell out. It happens. And she drug us through one of the hardest things I've been through as a parent. She met some guy on the internet and was missing for a whole day. And we had to call the police. We didn't know where she was. I didn't know she had met this guy. It was really a horrible, horrible day. And then she came home. And of course, if you know Brittany, she's fine today, repentant and all that happened just a few months later. But during this time, it was just this horrible season. And once we found her and brought her home, instead of saying, I'm really sorry that I hurt you guys today, she was mad at us, which was like awesome. And we thought the day was really bad, and it got worse. She said, I don't even know if I want to be a Christian anymore. I don't want to go to church. That Bible's just a bunch of words to me. Do you have any idea how hard it is being Danny Silk's daughter? So we thought it was really bad, but then we found ourselves just falling in a black hole. It was horrible. And she's looking at us for a response. And I tell you what, I had some angry thoughts going on. Listen here, little girl. Let me tell you what I've been doing all day and all my face, bawling my face off. I didn't say any of that. I took some duct tape. But in the midst of me not knowing what to do, I watched Danny get out of his chair and crawl across the room and put his hands on her feet and say, I'm so sorry that anything that's going on in my life would add pressure to your life. And the only thing that is important to me is you and your mom and your brothers, we all get across the finish line together. And I'll quit my job tomorrow. See, love is an opportunity waiting to happen. You get to decide, doing life with people, how you're going to do it. It's a choice. I remember going to work the next day after that dreaded day off, and Danny was the new family life pastor at Bethel Church, the parenting expert. It was awesome. And I worked for the School of Supernatural Ministry, and we had to go to work, you know? So I go in there feeling like I don't even know if anything I believe in is working at all. I am lost. My daughter just blew us up. And I sit with my friend Heidi, who works in the school ministry, who's a firecracker. She was born on the 4th of July, and it totally makes sense. And so I'm telling her, I'm pouring out my heart, and like, she did this, and she thinks that now, and I don't know what to do, and it's just horrible, and she was missing, she was super irresponsible, she scared us to death, she did all these things. And Heidi just listened to me the whole time, and then she reached over the table and grabbed my hand, and she said, you know what, my husband and I are looking for someone to watch our kids after school. We're wondering if maybe it's perfect for Brittany to pick our 4 small children up every day, take them home, cook, start dinner, and get their homework going. And I was like, did you not hear the words coming out of my mouth? Did you not hear me tell you the worst thing my daughter's ever done in her whole life, the most irresponsible, and you would like her to pick up your children, drive them at 16, that alone would have been enough, right? And love flew across the room that day, hit me right in the chest. She had this opportunity that she'd never had before, and she chose to love me, and Brittany did take that job. She worked for her for 6 months till the end of the school year. I'm gonna be right in front of somebody with an opportunity. That's what's gonna heal us, is love. Love's gonna heal us. One time when Danny was out of town, things always happen when Danny's out of town. Now I have Ben, my son-in-law, who can fix things, but the garbage disposal breaks, the freezer defrosts with 100 pounds of meat in it. You know, things just happen when Danny's out of town. And this one particular time, Taylor, who was probably 15 at the time, 24 now, it's been a while, but he had this girlfriend, which was funny to me because the only time you see her is at recess, but that's fine with me. But they would talk on the phone occasionally and blah, blah, blah. And so the phone rang, and back when we had phones, you actually worked in the house, you know, it said her number, and he was all excited that it was her. And he said hello, and quickly his voice changed to, yes, sir, no, sir. See, it wasn't her, it was her dad calling. No, sir, my dad's not home. My mom's here. Passes the phone to me. And then he starts going, I'll never call her again. I hate her right now. I'm never gonna speak to her. I mean, he's just dripping with adrenaline. This is the kid that doesn't like to be in trouble at all. And so I'm like, hello? Well, hello, Mrs. Silk. I was hoping to talk to Mr. Silk today. I said, he's not here. I'm all you got. He goes, well, I was wondering if you were aware that your son and my daughter are talking on the phone for 30 minutes at a time. I said, okay. Well, we want to know if that's okay with you and your husband, that they're talking on the phone. I said, well, I was aware that they were talking. I've never timed them before. I got a little snotty. I did. Because I'm a mama bear and I wanted to go, woo. I'll kill him later, but right now, I'm going to protect his skin. So I calmed down, and Taylor's over there. Okay. And I said, what is it that you need from me? What do you need right now? What's going on? He goes, well,
My oldest daughter got pregnant when she was a senior in high school in the back of a car. And I'm always afraid that my daughters are gonna all end up with that kind of pain and struggle. I was like, wow. I said, well, if my son's been disrespectful, then please let me know and I will take care of it. He's not a disrespectful young man, though. He's a respectful person. So if he's not acting like that, then please let me know. He goes, I don't really need you to do anything. I guess I just wanted you to know. I said, well, I appreciate your call today, and I'll make sure that he's being respectful. I was so glad I stopped. Because I've done this wrong a bunch too. Just want you to know. I have the microphone, so I get to tell you the stories that I want to tell you, that I want you to think about me. Love fixes everything. It's easy to insert. It goes into every little place. It's kind of like you don't have room for dessert, but you can eat ice cream because it melts and goes in all the cracks and crevices that are left. Love will go anywhere. It fits everywhere. One bad story I'll tell myself is that one time my daughter was taking some classes at Shasta College. She's a senior in high school and gonna do some classes, and I went with her and my other son out there. And I did not like the government system that they had put in place. I didn't like the college's structure. Their registration was horrible. They had us jumping through all these hoops. There was testing and they had us in all these lines. I was getting more and more angry as the day went, and I just gave in to this anger. I let it go. And I ended up in the room with, I think, the vice president of the university or the college, because I requested to talk to him. And laid out all my grievances to him while my children sat there in horror. Horrible. I did not choose love. I did not insert love. I didn't think about it. I didn't stop myself. I went home that day, and Brittany said, Mom, that was not fun to be with. You were not fun at all to be with today. And I want to know what you're going to do about it. If you know my daughter, this all makes perfect sense. And I defended myself for a while, and then took me a couple days. I went back. I didn't go back there. I wrote him a letter, told him that I was sorry for my behavior and how disrespectful I was to him and the college, and I was completely wrong. I have no defense for myself whatsoever other than to ask for your forgiveness for my behavior. I emailed it to him, and he emailed me right back, and he said, it's interesting to get your letter today because yesterday your daughter came in my office to tell me that the mother that showed up in my office the other day wasn't the mother she knew. Just a little bit of love inserted at the right moment changes lives forever. That's how it works. We get to choose. That's how powerful he left us. We get to decide how we'll be in this situation, we'll be in another situation later in America. It's just the way it goes. You know, when we were on tour, I peeled off in New York, met my family there, and one of the stops that we went on was we went to Ellis Island, where hundreds of thousands of people came, immigrants came. They're attracted to our freedom and to our lack of racism. They were being discriminated against. They wanted freedom, so they came to us. And there's a statue about it. And it's still some issues, obviously, that we're dealing with today. And I don't know what to do about it, but I know that today I can choose love with the person that's in front of me right now. Right now.
Okay, ladies, thanks for, also the men that secretly listen in.
Yes.
To get relationship advice and to, all the single men that are going to be like ladies
All the
experts.
single men?
Yes.
Anyway, Thank you so much for joining us. We love that you're with us. Thanks for having fun with us, because we sure are having a lot of fun. If you loved it, give us some feedback. If you didn't love it,
Be quiet.
Keep it to yourself.
don't talk to
If
us.
you don't have anything nice to say.
Actually, email banning.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next month.